The Senate chamber fell eerily silent as Senator Elizabeth Warren leaned forward, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. "Senator Kennedy, you're nothing but a relic of the past, out of touch with the future we're building." The words hung heavy, a deliberate jab aimed at her colleague, John Neely Kennedy, whose folksy Louisiana drawl and old-school values had long made him a polarizing figure. The room tensed, expecting the usual political sparring, but what followed was a moment no one could have predicted, a raw, emotional exchange that would ripple across the nation and touch hearts in ways no policy debate ever could. Kennedy, a man in his late 60s with silver hair and a face etched with the lines of a hard-earned life, didn't flinch. For a moment, his piercing blue eyes softened, as if he were peering into a memory rather than the polished wood-paneled room. He adjusted his red tie, a subtle nod to his southern roots, and rose slowly from his seat. The chamber, usually a battleground of sharp tongues and rehearsed sound bites, seemed to hold its breath. Warren, confident in her progressive stance, sat back with a faint smirk, unaware that her words had ignited something deep within the man across the aisle. "Senator Warren," Kennedy began, his voice steady but laced with a tremor of emotion, "I've been called a lot of things in my time, some kinder than others. But relic? That stings a bit, I'll admit." A ripple of laughter broke the tension, but it faded quickly as he continued. "You see, I grew up in a little house in Zachary, Louisiana, where the roof leaked when it rained and the floor creaked with every step. My daddy worked 2 jobs, one at the mill, another fixing cars, to keep food on the table. My mama patched my clothes with thread so worn it was nearly see-through. We didn't have much, but we had something you can't legislate: faith, family, and a belief that hard work could carry you forward." The room grew quieter still, senators and aides alike leaning in, captivated by the vulnerability in his tone. Kennedy's gaze drifted to the ceiling, as if he could still see the stars through that leaky roof. "I remember one winter, I was about 10, and the cold got so bad we couldn't heat the house. My mama wrapped me in an old quilt she'd sewn herself, and told me stories about her granddaddy, a sharecropper who fought for every acre he owned. She said, 'John, the past ain't a relic. It's the foundation. You build on it or you fall.' I carried that with me when I went to law school, when I served in the army, when I stood here today. And I reckon that's why I'm still standing, because I don't forget where I came from." Warren's smirk faded, her posture shifting as the weight of his words sank in. Kennedy wasn't done. He turned to her, his voice rising with a mix of defiance and compassion. "You talk about the future, Senator, and I respect that. But the future's built on the shoulders of those who came before. Call me a relic, if you want, but I see it as a badge of honor, a reminder that the values of decency, grit, and love for this country don't expire. Maybe if you listen to the past a little more, you'd understand why folks out there are still clinging to it." The chamber erupted. Some senators clapped, others shifted uncomfortably, but the real drama unfolded in Warren's reaction. Her face flushed, not with anger, but with a flicker of something softer, perhaps recognition. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. Instead, she nodded faintly, a gesture that spoke volumes in its restraint. The moment was captured by cameras, and within hours, clips of Kennedy's speech flooded social media, tagged with hashtags like "Get a Kennedy Comeback" and "Yet a Relic of Honor." Back in Louisiana, Kennedy's words reached a young man named Ethan, a high school senior struggling to balance part-time work at a gas station with dreams of college. Ethan's family had fallen on hard times after his father's layoff, and the pressure to drop out and support them was mounting. Watching Kennedy's speech on his cracked phone screen, Ethan felt a surge of hope. The senator's story mirrored his own humble beginnings, a fight to rise, and the message hit home. The past wasn't a burden, but a strength to build upon. Inspired, Ethan applied for a scholarship that night, vowing to honor his family's sacrifices. Meanwhile, Kennedy faced a personal challenge. The speech had drawn praise but also criticism from political opponents who called it a stunt. Late that night, alone in his office, he wrestled with doubt. Had he overstepped? Was he truly out of touch? His wife, Rebecca, a quiet woman with a sharp mind, found him there, his head in his hands. "John," she said gently, "you spoke from the heart. That's never wrong." Her words steadied him, reminding him of the countless letters he'd received over the years from people who saw themselves in his story. The resolution came days later during a community event in Baton Rouge. Ethan, having won the scholarship, attended to thank Kennedy in person. The boy's tearful gratitude, "You made me believe I could do this," brought a rare smile to the senator's face. Warren, too, reached out privately, acknowledging the power of his words and proposing a bipartisan effort to support rural education, a small but significant olive branch. The nation watched as the viral moment evolved into a call for unity, with Kennedy's speech inspiring a grassroots movement to preserve history while embracing progress. As the story spread, it left an indelible mark. On a YouTube channel dedicated to political drama, the 15-minute video of the exchange, complete with emotional reenactments and interviews with Ethan and others, racked up millions of views. The final scene showed Kennedy at a podium, addressing a crowd. "We're not relics, friends. We're the roots. And from those roots, we can grow a future worth having if we remember to listen to each other." The message resonated beyond politics, a testament to the enduring power of resilience, humility, and the stories that bind us all.